In 1976, Jimmy Foster played 48 games and averaged 7 minutes, 3 points, and 1 assist. And yet, he was an all-star. You can see it right here. That's his basketball reference page. That star next to his stats indicates that he was an all-star. Look at the stats for the game itself. Foster is there. He played 5 minutes and unsurprisingly did nothing in that time, but he's there nevertheless. How does somebody this bad make an all-star team? This is the story of not only the worst all-star ever, but the worst 5 all-stars ever. Jimmy Foster is not alone. First off though, just be sure to subscribe. We are dropping weekly NBA videos and some big things are coming, so be sure to click that little red button so you don't miss out. You're gonna want to be one of the first to be a part of the rise of this channel. Things are about to get crazy. And with that out of the way, let's hop straight into today's topic. To understand how and why Jimmy Foster managed to squeeze his way into an all-star game, we first have to understand the ABA. Foster played in the ABA when he made this all-star appearance, a league that has gone largely forgotten, but most NBA fans still have at least vaguely heard of it. At the peak of the ABA, this league was legitimately giving the NBA a run for their money. They were stealing big-time stars like Julius Erving, Rick Barry, and George Gervin. But the biggest threat the ABA posed to the NBA was its ambition. Instead of a boring orange basketball, the ABA played with a multicolored ball. They implemented a three-point line in 1968, 12 years before the NBA ever did. And they also were the first to experiment with fun all-star weekend events such as the dunk contest. Point was, their biggest strength as a league was their constant desire to innovate. They wanted to be the first to things and they didn't hesitate to come up with new ideas that could help the game progress forward as quickly as possible. And when it came to the All-Star game, this was no exception. They loved twisting and changing and experimenting with rules for the game all the time. They hosted a traditional East vs West All-Star game for 4 straight years, and then challenged the NBA itself to an additional All-Star competition. The best players of the NBA and ABA played 2 games between each other, one in 1971 and another in 1972. And although the NBA did win both were insanely close. In 1971, the NBA beat the ABA by 3 points in a game where they had 9 players on their team that would later be named to the NBA's official top 50 greatest players of all time list. This ABA All-Star team was going against the best the NBA had, guys like Oscar Robertson and Jerry West, and yet they still only lost by 3 points. If that doesn't teach you to put respect on the ABA's name, I don't know what will. In the paper when this event was reported on, journalists made a lot of convenient mistakes that discredited the efforts of the ABA team. ABA superstar Mel Daniels recalled reports that Elvin Hayes had blocked his shot on one possession, when in reality, the opposite had been true. Daniels had made a massive swat on Elvin, and nobody gave him his props. Anyways, in 1972, the contest was essentially more of the same, with Team NBA beating Team ABA by only 2 this time. The entire game is on YouTube. I watched the entire thing. It's super entertaining watching these forgotten, no-name players give guys like Oscar Robertson, John Havlicek, and Jerry West a legit run for their money. I recommend you check it out. The ending is super down to the wire. It's just a great show. So, we already know that the ABA is down to make changes to their All-Star game all the time, and one of the biggest changes they would ever make would come in their final season of existence, 1976. 2006. This year, they just straight up said, screw the East vs. West format, let's just put all the league's best players on one team and the best regular season team on the other. In this case, the best team in the league was the Denver Nuggets, so they took a 60-win Denver squad led by Dan Issel, David Thompson, Bobby Jones, and Ralph Simpson, and automatically turned every player on that team into an all-star. And that's how you end up with a guy like Jimmy Foster, somebody who would only play 2 seasons of professional basketball, squeaking his way onto an all-star team. But Foster is not the only random all-star on this team. Take a look at Roger Brown's stats. He would average 2 points and 4 rebounds in a 5-year career, and yet here he is, being marked as an all-star. Monty Tao averaged 3 and 2 in 1976, and yet he made the All-Star game. Gus Gerard averaged 10 and 5, still an All-Star. Byron Beck was an ABA legend, but in 1976, he was only putting up numbers of 10 and 4. You guessed it, still an All-Star. Even stranger, however, was the fact that the Nuggets actually somehow won this game. That's right, a singular normal team beat the team composed of all the best players in the league. I don't know how, but it happened. Similar to the NBA vs. ABA All-Star games, this game is also fully available on YouTube. And right there, you can see little Jimmy Foster playing his heart out in an All-Star game that he doesn't belong at, playing against the likes of Julius Erving, Artis Gilmore, and George Gervin. Let's see how he does.
Nuggets by 3. Foster, and was hit on the hand by Well, the call is against Jimmy Foster. Here is Silas now moving against Foster as things reversed. Foster knocks it away and foul. Lane finds Foster at the foul line, floats up the left-hander, deflected by Billy Knight.
Well, that was to be expected. If you look closely enough, you can also spot the likes of Roger Brown, Monty Tao, and all the other random bench players on the Nuggets rack up some minutes in this All-Star game. Everybody on the roster played at least 5 minutes this night, making for some great footage of absolute randoms making their All-Star debut. If it was up to me, I don't know if playing in this game should count as being in an all-star game. In all honesty, it wasn't really an all-star game at all. I mean, the all-stars were all on one team, so I guess it's 50% of an all-star game, I don't know. At the end of the day, I suppose there isn't any official definition to what an all-star game is, although we all know what being an all-star implies. It implies that you are an elite player in the league, but I guess that's just not always the case. The ABA called it an all-star game, and Basketball Reference also considers it an all-star game, so I guess it's an all-star game. Shout out to my guys Jimmy Foster, Roger Brown, Monty Tao, Gus Gerard, and Byron Beck, the worst all-stars in the history of basketball. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. We are gonna be pumping out a lot of interesting content in the very near future, and I promise you, you won't want to miss out on it. Let me know what your thoughts on this story are in the comments, and if you think even still that there are any worse all-stars out there in basketball history, let me know. I've done my talking, it's time to do yours in the comments. With that being said, there are 2 videos currently flashing on your screen as we speak. If you enjoyed this one, click one of them and continue down the Kagastomus rabbit hole. I appreciate the views. And with that, stay safe out there.